Hey everybody, this is Andrea from 826DC, not at 826DC. And I am really excited to share a writing activity with you all. It's a type of poem that I think is really appropriate right now. So today we're going to work on writing odes. I wonder if you've ever heard of an ode. I hadn't really thought about them in a long time. So an ode is a poem of thanks or gratitude, and often odes speak to people or things that are underappreciated. So I think this is a really wonderful type of poem. It's a really great way to shout out people or things that you notice, that you love, that you know are awesome, but maybe other people don't, and share that with the world. And I think given everything that's going on right now, a little extra thanks and gratitude is certainly something that goes a long way. So before I get started and share with you what the recipe for one of these poems are, how we write this specific type of poem, I want to share an example from our friends in the 826 network. So I want to share a poem with you called An Ode to Cookies by Raven, who is a young writer with our friends at 826 New Orleans. And as I read Raven's poem, I want you all to listen and think, what do you hear in this poem that's different than other poems you've heard before? How is this author using language or description that's maybe unique and might be part of the recipe for our ode? Got it? Cool. This is a poem called Ode to Cookies, and it's by Raven from our friends at 826 New Orleans. Oh, dear cookies, you're sweet like a morning taste of sunshine. Your hot melted chocolate and brown crispy tenderness is like the light of my day. You taste like a soft pancake made with chocolate and many more. Oh, the joy you bring me. Pop you into the oven and heat you up, warmer than hot chocolate, and I pop you back out and place you on my plate. Oh, cookie, oh, cookie. Begin to drool. You're sweeter than a girl waiting for school. Dear cookie, I love you. Did anyone hear anything that was unique or different? Yeah, so I hope you jotted some things down, maybe shared that with somebody that you're at home with. But I want to share with you some of the key things that are really important that make an ode different than other poems, that make this kind of a special type of poem. So what makes an ode? The first thing, which I think we all heard, is that odes describe the thing or person and what it does. So they ask the question, what does this subject do? We heard that with action words, right? We heard that when we heard Raven talk about popping it in the oven and popping it back out, placing it on her plate. We kind of were able to see what is the life of a cookie like? What kind of actions do they participate in? The second thing that's really important and is an element that you see in a lot of odes is describing what the thing or person looks like. So what do you see when you look at the subject? We can also really ask that question of how would you describe your subject? So there are a couple places we saw that in this poem, right? Brown, crispy tenderness. It's one thing we see. It's a sense we can feel. She's really using descriptive language to describe a cookie. A third thing that's really important in odes are comparisons. So one thing you hear a lot in odes is uses of the word like or comparing it, right? Saying, you might not know this thing that I'm talking about, but I'm going to give you something that it's similar to so that you have an idea of how awesome it is. So we heard that a lot of places in Raven's poem. Brown, crispy tenderness is like the light of my day. So we heard that comparison. The cookie itself makes her as happy as the light in her day, the thing that sparks joy for her. You taste like a soft pancake. So this was a poem about food. She compared one awesome food that she loved to another so that maybe people who have different tastes can say, oh, I get it now. It's not just a cookie. It's like a pancake, and I love pancakes. Warmer than hot chocolate. So it's not just warm, it's hot. So ode poems often compare things. And the fourth thing that we hear that's a little nuanced is that odes talk directly to their subject. They're not talking about it, they're speaking to it. So we hear that a couple ways in Raven's poem. Oh, dear cookie. She addresses it directly. Oh, cookie, dear you. She uses the word you a lot. You taste like a soft pancake. I pop you back in the oven. So usually these are words like dear and oh, and using you as a direct way to speak to your subject. Once you have an idea of what you want to write about that person or thing that goes unnoticed, whether it's a food like ravens or it's a person, maybe it's somebody who's doing really hard work right now who's not getting celebrated. Maybe it's someone in your family, maybe it's a pet. There's so many options. So once you have that subject in your mind, here's a tip that I have for brainstorming. Just take a regular piece of paper. You're gonna fold it once like this, kind of hot dog style. Then you're gonna fold it again, kind of hamburger style. And what you're gonna end with is a piece of paper that has 4 lines on it and 4 sections. So in each of those sections, I want you to write down those key pieces of our ode recipe. So in one section, I want you to write, what does it do? Great. In your second section, I want you to write, what does it look like? As one question. How would I describe it? That's great. So you're going to have 2 sections filled out with 2 different questions. In your final 2 squares, I want you to write compare. And then in this section, you're going to list what are the things that you might compare your subject to help somebody understand how great it is. And finally, I want you to write address directly. So that's where you're going to address what are those key words that you might use. Are they going to be oh, you, or dear? So at the end, you'll have a piece of paper with 4 sections where you can brainstorm those 4 key elements of an ode. Action words, what does it do? Description, what does it look like, or how would you describe it? A list of possible comparisons, and thinking about how you're going to talk directly to your subject. So to close us out, I wanted to share one more poem. And this is a poem by one of our own young authors here at 826DC, and it's called An Ode to Anacostia. Home to kids running on pilgrimages until the streetlights came on. Anacostia, where you were bound to see 10 ice cream chucks a day and a pink pickled egg in somebody's hand. Everybody knew everybody, from Berry Farms to Waller Place. Why so much beef now? I remember when I discovered abandoned buildings, climbing until I couldn't anymore. Anacostia, where the 94 bus came. Could you believe it was only 75 cents? I will never forget. The holder of my innocent thoughts, every day I lived in a different game, from Freaky Friday to Shame, Shame, Shame. Anacostia is a possibility. Every portion of cracked concrete has a face, telling the history of how rich it was and will always be. Pinch me because I must be dreaming about Anacostia, home to culture, southeast, and finger-licking memories, home to go-go, Anacostia. So I'm super excited to see what kind of odes you guys write, what unappreciated objects or people you give praise or gratitude to. So please share those with us. You can email them directly to us at info@826dc.org. You can also share them out to us, have a parent share them out to us on our social channels, which we'll post at the bottom of this video. And I'll also post all of the links to the 826 digital resources about odes that you can use too. So with that, I'm grateful and thankful for all of you young writers and excited to see what you come up with.